In the 1960s and 70s, the feminist movement picked up some major speed. Women are now local and global leaders in politics and commerce, and the fight has been real to get here, and it continues in many cases. Only recently, women have been permitted to fight in combat situations. All of this has led to one heated discussion. Should women be registered for the draft? My response? No. I would like to clarify that I am grateful for the men and women who choose to fight for our country, as I am grateful for those who participated in the draft years ago so that we might be free. But at this time I ask you to suspend your personal beliefs on the draft and consider the following bits of information that have led me to believe as I do. Jade Eden, a female Marine, stated, "Combat is not an equal opportunity for women, because they don't have an equal opportunity to survive. Having equal natural rights under the law does not mean that men and women are the same." So I found this stellar article that I would like to share with you that testifies to Jade's point. The article is titled, "Women in Combat, Physical Differences May Mean Uphill Battle." And to start, I'd like to talk about a study that was done by the Journal of Applied Physiology, which found that men had an average of 26 pounds more skeletal mass than women. Women also exhibited about 40% less upper body strength and 33% less lower body strength on average. In addition, they found that men are generally faster than women. The fastest woman in the world, Florence Joyner, ran the 100-meter dash in just 10.49 seconds. That time hasn't been beaten by women. However, that time wouldn't even qualify her for the men's 2016 Olympic competition. So why am I talking about the physical differences of men and women? Well, they're relevant. And I'm not trying to imply that overseas women are fighting men in hand-to-hand combat. However, it's relevant because in combat units, if a woman needs to carry out a male body but can't because she's never really trained physically in her life, never anticipating to go into the military, that might be a real issue. Additionally, it's easier for women to sustain injury. They found that in training, women receive more stress fractures and have more physical problems in that regard. And so they pose that if you allow them to train and condition longer, their bodies over a longer period of time, they'll have fewer injuries. However, if we're talking about drafting women, which I would like to remind you again, we're not talking about women in the military who choose to go into the military, prepare to go into the military. We're talking about drafting women. If we're drafting women, they might not be allotted that extra time to condition their bodies. And so women who volunteer understand that their bodies may be more susceptible to fracture. They understand they might be slower, and they know their capabilities and take on responsibilities that come with being soldiers because of their confidence in what they bring to the table. However, asking women without that confidence to fight in combat situations simply isn't right, in my opinion. You know, there are many things that I feel our government should not be able to force America's daughters and mothers to do. Drafted women shouldn't have to postpone family planning. I mean, who are we, China? They shouldn't have to stop breastfeeding, or they shouldn't have to stop taking a child to and from the bus stop, or preparing well-balanced meals for their families. You know, women are typically the primary caregivers in their homes. Whether you're a Mormon, non-denominational Christian, atheist, Baptist, Muslim, you likely believe that the role of mother is equally important to that of a soldier. And so you would assume that there would be some sort of maternity deferment. However, paternity deferments were done away with in 1963. So if we're going to be treated the same as men, then there would be no maternity deferment. I'd like to show you a few of the questions and answers on the Selective Service website. The Selective Service is the agency responsible for the drafting process. And the first one I found particularly interesting said, "I am the sole surviving son and the sole source of support for totally disabled mother. I know I won't be able to serve, but must I still register? Yes, you must still register with the Selective Service. Virtually all men must register with the Selective Service. Now, the next question, I want you to imagine that this has been posed by a mother of 3. What if there would be a dependency hardship on my family? Would I still have to register with the Selective Service? The hypothetical answer, yes. Virtually all women must register with the Selective Service, and feel free to read the fine print here. So, basically what this means is that fathers, married fathers are treated the same as single men when it comes to the Selective Service. And so, maybe you're just thinking, well, let's draft women without kids. That would be fair. Well, what about engaged women who are getting ready to get married and start their families? Or women who are going through $12,000 in vitro fertility treatments, whether they're married or not? Or think about women who are unaware that they're pregnant and suffer a miscarriage because of the stress of the physical trainings and emotional challenges they're subject to. Or think about the mothers who come home from war with injuries and they can't hold their children on their hip because their prosthetic doesn't fit yet. Because we all know that the VA isn't the fastest thing around. Or the woman who has PTSD and has a breakdown listening to her screaming infant. I think you get my point. I'm not trying to be dramatic here, but I'm trying to pose potentially real situations that may come up. I remind you, I am in full support of women who choose to enter the military of their own free will and choice, and I'm grateful for their service. However, as nuclear powers increase throughout the world and unstable nations hold the codes for global catastrophe, I believe it's time for us to consider what the future will look like for us and for our sons and for our daughters. I'll end with this. If America's mothers and daughters are forced to fight for our nation alongside our fathers and sons, who will be left to fight for? Thank you.